Sorry for this blurry start here as we start the show. We are just beginning to get ourselves together here for a special update on what's been going on in Minneapolis tonight. We've been analyzing the forensic analysis that we've been generating today from the video that was released earlier on by many people who were on the scene. We think we have a very good accounting of what happened, and we'll be able to share that with you in the next 10 minutes or so as we get going here on Narativ Live. It's been a traumatic day for all Americans, an incredibly traumatic day for the people of Minneapolis as they grapple with the third shooting, the second fatal shooting by ICE on the streets of Minneapolis. Now, the Department of Homeland Security says that a man in Minneapolis approached their federal agents with a gun today, and they say he violently resisted arrest. That's what they're telling you happened this morning. It's what they're telling us happened this morning when Border Patrol agents shot and killed the 37-year-old U.S. citizen on a South Minneapolis street. So we have been spending a lot of the day analyzing the video, making sure that we've seen it from every angle possible. And what's clear is that something very different happened from what the Department of Homeland Security is telling you happened. This wasn't a shooting. This wasn't an unarmed man or even an armed man coming at ICE. This was an execution. And we can show you that through the evidence that we've had developed throughout the day as to when this particular weapon that was supposedly held by this victim was removed from the scene. And it's clear, as I'm sure many of you have seen in other places online, but we'll show it to you in our video analysis, that the weapon was taken away from him, disarmed, well before he was shot by ICE agents. Even then, of course, there's no justification for the shooting today. The man was merely exercising his First Amendment rights. Let's take a look at some of the video, and we'll take your comments later on. But first, let's explore this video. What we've done here is we've taken three of the three very different angles and aligned them together so you can get a good sense of what it looked like from three different ways. And what I want you to pay special attention to is the man with the light-colored or gray jacket, because it's that man who reaches in, is able to pull out a weapon from the victim's pants or from his wristband, and then walks away with the weapon, and only after that do you hear the gunshots. This is a disturbing video. Of course, it's traumatizing for all of us. If you can't handle seeing it, and I can imagine why that's the case for many Americans today. But if you are able to watch, this comes with the usual warnings that this could be very triggering. So what we're seeing here is this video as it's unfolding. I'm having a hard time hearing it, but you can at least see it. Take a look at the... in fact, let me pull it up full screen, and I hope you'll be able to still hear me there. I think you can. What you can see there is, this is the three-shot view. Look at the man with the gray jacket as he pulls out the weapon and walks away. And then walks away from the scene as the guns are firing there. And I don't know if you can hear the guns firing, because I can't hear the audio that's being played out. But you can see the scene, pretty horrific, as what clearly is the most important part of that scene is, of course, this murder, this senseless murder. We'll play it all again for you in a second. But that particular moment where the officer, the agent in his gray jacket, reaches in and is able to take away the weapon of the victim, leaving him disarmed. And at that point, really has no threat in any way to the person who, any of the agents who had surrounded him. And of course, we have now evidence that as many as 6 agents surrounded this guy. And we'll get to who he is in just a second, before they unbelievably tear gassed and then shot him almost 10 times in the streets of Minneapolis today for doing nothing. Because as we've shown you in the poll before, and we'll show you in a bit now, the man was merely doing his First Amendment rights, exercising those First Amendment rights. He was just taking a video and observing what the ICE agents were doing in the city. They had clearly have been harassing people in the city for a few days now, and he was doing what many Americans in Minneapolis are allowed to do and have been doing, which is showing up in their hundreds to defend against this brutality that's arrived in their city. Now, I want to show you that scene once again from a still photo so you can get a sense of what we're really trying to say here. This is the weapon. Now, the weapon that you see on the very right of this picture is what they say at the Department of Homeland Security was the gun that was inside the pants, inside the pants of the victim here, and that was taken away by this man in this almost looks like a light gray, almost tan jacket. And you can see that it was a similar looking weapon. It certainly connects to the picture on the right. However, what we found out just recently is that even that picture on the right, which the Department of Homeland Security released and says was this very same weapon that was in the possession of the victim, even that may have been just something they pulled off Google to show you what might have been a replica of the weapon, but they'd never said that. They said that this was the actual weapon that was sent. So that was found in the victim. But you can see it matches what the shooter here, the agent here is carrying in his right hand, which he's just retrieved from the victim. I'm going to play the whole video one more time. I'm going to keep quiet so you can watch it in its totality here. This one is a little longer. The version is a little longer, but it gives you a greater sense of how things played out.
What the fuck is wrong with you? The fuck, people? The fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
This is that critical moment now. And this is what's so important for everyone to realize, that this man was clearly almost across the street with a weapon that was supposedly a danger to these ICE agents when the shooting began. There's a couple of seconds almost before the shooting happens that this guy, the ICE agent, is able to be seen walking away with the weapon in question. So many questions still to be answered about exactly what was going on. Today, there's a clear violation of the First Amendment rights, that this person was clearly allowed to do what he was doing, documenting, expressing his opposition to the ICE agents being in the town, and doing what they've been doing, which is harassing local residents. The man was merely there documenting. Even if he wasn't just documenting, even if he was intervening in some ways, there was absolutely no reason for the federal agents to first deploy tear gas against him, and then after deploying tear gas against him, surrounded him, pushed him to the ground, disarmed him of his weapon, and then, both his arms physically restrained, by the way, at the time of the shooting. There's just no ways he was a risk to them. And that, of course, is a violation of federal law on many counts. Let's tell you a little bit more about who the victim is, because I think we're becoming to understand a lot more about who he is and what that means for all of us who are so concerned about where America is going. So for one thing, this is not a immigrant. This is not someone who comes from another country. This is someone who arrived in the United States of America because he was born in the United States of America, and had therefore no business that for the ICE agents to be confronting him in any way. We'll show you a picture in just a second here as I try to connect you with my our new system is a little different. But let me show you now who he is. So this is Alex Jeffrey Pretti, Pretti. He's 37 years old. He was, until today, an intensive care unit nurse at the Minneapolis Veterans Affairs healthcare system. He was a guy who was looking after the health of the veterans of America, the people who had done so much to save America in so many wars, and defended freedom in so many wars. Now he's dead. and he's been killed by these ICE thugs in the streets of Minneapolis. Yeah, he was, I was just saying, a U.S. citizen. He had a valid permit to carry a concealed weapon, and this is critical because they will let you say, and they will tell us repeatedly, that this man was coming at ICE agents with a loaded weapon, which is in fact not the case. It was concealed, if he had it on him at all, but let's say he had it on him because it looks on the video that they've retrieved a weapon from him. But if he had it on him, it was concealed, certainly was not exposed to the agents, and no in any way harm or danger or risking the life of any of the ICE operatives around him. He had no criminal record, maybe 2 traffic violations in his entire life, according to his father. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara confirmed all these information points this afternoon. Now, his father, Michael Pretti, told the Associated Press that Alex cared about people deeply, and he was very upset with what was happening in Minneapolis and throughout the United States with ICE. He began participating in the protests following the January 7th killing of Renee Good, who, of course, also gunned down by ICE agents in the streets of Minneapolis in a very similar kind of unprovoked way. This is now the 3rd person in Minneapolis to be shot by ICE agents, the 2nd to die, and Renee Good was the 1st. And now we'll be saying the name that we've been saying a lot for the last few days has been Renee Good. Now we'll be saying Alex Pretti. Say his name as many times as you can, repeat it in the chats, and let sure everybody knows that we all keep him in our hearts and prayers, and his family, who are going through hell right now because of these ICE agents. There is, by the way, a legal standard here which even the ICE agents must absolutely follow. It's a standard that was established in Tennessee versus Garner. That's a Supreme Court case that governs the use of deadly force by police. An officer can only use lethal force when a suspect poses an immediate threat or of death or serious injury to the officer. And in this case, clearly, with the weapon disarmed, with the ICE agent having walked away with the weapon in his right hand, this man who was shot in cold blood, Alex Pretti, in the streets of Minneapolis, was in no danger to the 6 people who were surrounding him. As many as 6 ICE agents had restrained and put him to the ground. As I mentioned before, both of his hands were secured at the time of the shooting. There was absolutely no ways he would have been able to reach for that weapon, even if it was there. But it wasn't there, of course. The gun was removed from the scene, and there was no immediate threat to any of those people at all. There are other cases that the Supreme Court has cited, Graham versus Connor. That's the case that says that force must be objectively reasonable. It's clear this has not been reasonable in any objective standard at all. What we've seen in Minneapolis over the last few days has been nothing short of an assault by federal agents, a siege on the city, and an attack on the city of Minneapolis and Minnesota. Now, what happens next, of course, is a very important question. It's the 3rd shooting, as I've said, by federal agents in Minneapolis in 17 days. And now the National Guard for Minnesota is being called in by Governor Walz. What does that mean? Well, they'll be brought in to confront ICE agents. So you've got the state National Guard who will be on the streets trying to keep the peace between protesters and the attacking ICE agents by the federal government. That is a recipe for even more confrontation and even more violence. And many people are beginning to use the word civil war. And that, of course, is a dangerous territory to be talking about, but it's setting the scene for that. And of course, it's being done in full sight of the U.S. government, full sight of Donald Trump. He knows exactly what's happening, as does Stephen Miller. Just tonight, we're hearing that Stephen Miller is calling for the Insurrection Act to be instituted in Minnesota because of these attacks by ICE agents against protesters. He's looking for an Insurrection Act, blaming the victims, blaming the protesters for today's 3rd unprecedented shooting of Minnesota residents by ICE. This is obvious to anyone who's paying attention, a an attack on the city in order to inflame violence by the President of the United States in order for him to invoke the Insurrection Act. It's clear that Stephen Miller wants nothing more than to see these armed clashes and these murders of innocent people on the streets of Minneapolis, because that is the excuse they need to invoke the Insurrection Act. And of course, the Insurrection Act, for those of you who don't know, would allow the federal government to deploy the military, not the National Guard military, but the actual military, the active duty military domestically. And they'll be able to do all sorts of things, including potentially remove elected officials from office. And we understand that that is exactly what is being advocated tonight by Stephen Miller in the White House, that he is looking for the Insurrection Act to be invoked and for Governor Walz and Mayor Fry of Minneapolis to be removed from office and for there to be federal control over Minnesota. That is what they're seeking, and you can imagine what that'll mean for any free or fair elections, but also just for the general chill on our First Amendment rights, both in Minnesota and elsewhere around the world. These are, of course, very difficult issues that America has to grapple with right now. There's any number of issues that are going to be arisen from any such deployment. And of course, the military are not designed to be roaming around the streets and operating in a police function as they will be expected to if they come up in this way, or if they come into the city in this way. They're not geared for this. This is not what they do. And we have to be very, very careful of suggesting that we can have military forces like this inside the city of Minneapolis or any other city, because that will create scenes which are very dangerous. We've seen them in Baghdad and other places. These are the scenes live this evening as people are gathering in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. The streets are blocked off in many parts of South Minneapolis for exactly this reason. There are protests by the thousands as people show up to exercise their First Amendment rights, to demand for justice for people like Renee Good and Alex Pretti. And these are scenes that we expect to continue to see in the next few days. Now, I know you can't see them yet, so let me help you see them. Of agents, provocateurs. Hear me right there. I don't know if you could hear me talk throughout all of that, but if you didn't, I apologize for that. If you can hear me now, I hope you can. I apologize for that. But again, I was just saying that there's a concern that there could be agents, provocateurs, and people showing up in the city of Minneapolis and embedding themselves as protesters in these crowds in order to provoke scenes that are violent and bloody. We've seen that happen many times before. So please, if you're out there protesting, please be careful. Please be peaceful. And if you're not sure about going out, don't go out. At the end of the day, it's not these protests that are going to achieve what we need to achieve, which is the removal of the Trump administration. That's going to take a very determined effort against the White House, against Donald Trump, and against J.D. Vance. This is the battlefield the federal government wants us to use. This is the federal government the federal government wants us to battle protesters in the streets of Minneapolis and other U.S. cities for precisely this reason. It's a battlefield that they can control because they've got their ICE agents out there, but they don't have their ICE agents around the White House because there's not an immigration threat around the White House, and that is why I'm more convinced than ever that we should be trying to protest at the White House if that's in fact possible. I hear that some of the fencing has been taken down. Maybe there's a good reason for us to consider something like that. I'm going to let these pictures play for 1 second, and then I'll re-rack that video for you one more time so you can see exactly what's happening, what happened today through that split screen video. But let's take a look at some of the protests right now in Minnesota. And you could see, sorry, I didn't mean to just cut away right there, but you could see the there you go. Now I think you can hear me. What it looks like to me is that the police are there controlling or at least keeping the peace at the streets of Minneapolis, but it's unclear to me who the agents really are. It's unclear to me who is the city police, who may be ICE agents. It's just very difficult to assess from my vantage points what's going on right now. So that's my report tonight. I'm going to play that video in just one more second, but I see there's a lot of people online right now, over 1,000 people watching the stream. If there are things that you'd like to share with me or questions you may have for me, please put them up on the screen. I'll be right there and answer them. Oh, history is watching, says one of the signs there. And of course, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with this historic moment in the United States where we're all grappling with how we're going to manage a fight against all these people. We are, all struck by the enormity of this moment. What are we going to do to combat this extraordinary force that's being put up against the people of America? And this is a moment for everyone to really reflect on what it is that they're going to do in their day-to-day lives, because this is going to get worse before it gets better. You can almost guarantee that there'll be much worse events, that there'll be an escalation. In order to get what the president wants, his Insurrection Act, we can see this being spread across to other cities in the country, that is almost a guarantee that if you're sitting in a very comfortable liberal state right now, thinking you are not going to be in any way hurt by any of this, that is just not the case. The reality of it is this is coming to every city in America, and it's on its way right now. And that is a tragic and horrific thing to contemplate. But if it makes any difference, it should at least it should put the idea in your head that, now is the time to do something, that now is the time to take action in America in a way that we've not taken action before. There is just too much at stake right now for us to not do something important in order to stop what's happening. Let's look at some of the questions here. People are asking, and there's a lot of questions and a lot of comments coming in very quickly. So someone's saying here, this is not about immigration. It's a ruse to get us angry so they can create a civil war. Absolutely. I think without a doubt, what we're looking at here is the federal government under Donald Trump attacking the American citizens in order to create an uprising of some sort that he can then crack down on. It's as clear as anything. If you've studied dictatorships, if you've studied autocracies around the world, this is what happens time after time after time. This is exactly how this rolls out. They create an event and then they crack down on the event. And that crackdown is there to hide the start of a dictatorship in America. And of course, it's not so hidden here. In this case, it's exactly what we're seeing. Someone's saying that I'm right, that martial law is coming. I absolutely believe that. I don't think they would be going around killing innocent people in Minnesota unless they actually intended to bring martial law and an insurrection act into being. And I think they're going to try and do that. I'm in Minneapolis. Never thought that would happen to us, says Connie Studer. Absolutely, Connie. Thank you for sharing. And if you want to jump on, let me know. I'll definitely add you to our conversation here. I think it's really important to hear from people inside Minnesota and Minneapolis. And it's not just blue states, says KR, Democratic cities in red states. Every true blood area will be targeted. Absolutely. I think it's not only blue states, and people should understand what's really happening here is that the folks that are being sent in from red states to a large extent, and in those red states, everyone is watching Fox News. Everyone is watching the ecosystem that they watch. I don't even know what that is anymore, but whether it's Benny Johnson or Steve Bannon or any of those other net, quasi news sources that Trump has set up, they're hearing a very different take. They're being told that the citizens of Minnesota and Minneapolis are attacking ICE agents as ICE agents are out there doing the work. And it's those red states that are sending in the majority of ICE agents. The ICE agents have their history in the Border Patrol along the southern border. They're notoriously racist. They're notoriously militaristic, and they're being sent into a blue state like Minnesota in order to quell this violence. And that is why there is so much concern around the civil war right now. Some people are saying that it's time for a general strike, and many people are on their board with that. I think something has to happen. Perhaps a general strike is the right thing to do. The Brennan Center of Law explains the Insurrection Act very well. If anyone wants to go check him out, says someone here. There's Phoenix only going to... there's so many comments here. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then it goes on. Of course, this is a famous quote by Martin Niemöller, who said, they did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Of course, this is in the beginning of the Second World War. If you haven't yet raised your concern with your city councilor, your representative in Congress, now is the time to do it. Call them no matter what, whether they are going to do something about it or not. If you can, in any way express your concerns, now is the time to do it. It's vital that our voices get heard in Congress and that it's registered and the record is there for future use. Now, gather it's around 7 o'clock. They'll be starting local time there. There's a vigil, and maybe we'll be able to capture some of that. But before we leave you here tonight on the special coverage that we've been doing on this very tragic day for Minnesota and Minneapolis, I want to show you that video one more time. And I apologize. I know it's distressing watching this, but you always have to watch it. And it's because we need the evidence. These are very triumphant scenes, and isn't it great to see what's happening right now in Minneapolis as people are. Let's take a listen.
Take a moment to remember Alex. We're going to say his name, okay? Say his name! Alex Pretti! 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 We have lost too many of our own, and we will not forget a single one of them. Every single person that has sacrificed themselves for this movement will be remembered. Let's remember Renee Good. Say her name. 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 Renee Good.
Very inspiring to see these pictures of the protesters of Minneapolis, the people of Minnesota coming out in their thousands to remember Alex Pretti, to remember Renee Good, to remember Keith Porter. Of course, he's still with us, but injured. We are looking at scenes of an America awakening to fight a reality that is happening to us all. We're witnessing a unbelievable scene of a fascist takeover in America. And there's just no denying that that's where we're at right now as we're seeing these pictures of these brave Americans. Just think about what they're doing. The day that one of their own was shot and killed by ICE agents, disarmed and shot in cold blood on the streets of Minneapolis for just exercising his First Amendment rights. And these people are still brave enough to go outside on the streets of Minneapolis on a freezing night to protest the horrendous attack on their city by the federal government and by ICE agents. This is an inspiring scene for all of us who are concerned about where America has been and where the protests have been and why there haven't been even more of these. And one hopes that this is the kind of thing that gets amplified into every city in America, and that we start hearing even more from the congressional leaders who are elected by the people of America to end this occupation by ICE. So we'll leave that incredible scene in Minneapolis, and we'll come back to it in just a few minutes if there's value in doing that. This is a remarkable scene of Minneapolis and Minnesota residents standing up for their citizens and remembering Alex Pretti on the day that he was killed. Now, we wanted to show you that video one more time, and we want to do that because we do think it's important that everybody understands that this man today was shot by ICE agents, having been disarmed completely. He was potentially carrying a weapon. That's what they say. He was certainly allowed to carry a weapon in a concealed way. He had the concealed license to do so. But instead, what happened to him today was not what should happen to any man walking down the street or exercising their First Amendment rights in Minneapolis or in any other state in the United States. He was attacked, tear gassed, pinned to the ground. And then while he was pinned to the ground and both arms completely secured, there was absolutely no ways he could have reached for any weapon. But someone else reached for the weapon and pulled it away from him and left the scene with that very same weapon. And only then do we hear the gunfire, the 10 shots that were fired at Alex Pretti while he was completely immobilized and trapped on the ground. I'm going to play this video one more time. It is triggering, of course, and I warn you for that. But it is important, I think, that we really take a look at what's going on in Minneapolis. Here's that video, and I just need to make sure there's audio up in it. So here's the whole thing.
Yes, Liz, somebody call the ambulance. Somebody call the ambulance. Somebody needs to call the ambulance.
We should try and get that from the start. Let me see if I can get it.
I can't believe they just did that. Holy
Let me just do this 1 second here and then get a reset to the beginning of that video. I guess I can do it. It's a little confusing sometimes. I guess this will work if we do this. And then this will work. There you go.
The fuck, people? The fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
That's him. That's Alex Pretti right there.
Go.
You can see he's holding a cell phone in his hands. He's not a threat to anyone, but it's the ICE agent approaches him
What's wrong with you?
and actually assaults this woman first. Then, as Pretti tries to intervene, he gets tear gassed. He gets pulled away, yanked away, and then he's pushed to the ground, pinned to the ground. And keep your eye on the man with the light gray jacket. You can see this now from 2 scenes and 3 scenes. As that guy with the gray jacket pulls the weapon away and walks away, and only then do you hear the gunfire.
They killed him? Did they fucking kill that guy? Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
What the fuck? You! What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Really difficult scenes to look at and difficult scenes for us to report on, but it is important that everyone understands what happened here, that there are no misconceptions, that the authorities cannot get away with just saying what they will try say, which is that this was a man who was trying to attack them violently with a weapon. None of that was happening. This was a man who was filming and documenting, an ICU nurse who was filming and documenting the work that they were doing in attacking the city, tear gassed, helping a fellow protester who was being assaulted by an ICE agent, and then was tear gassed, pinned to the ground, and disarmed.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I can't believe I'm seeing this. I can't believe I'm seeing this. Come on, come on, come on, come here, come on. Come here. It is.
And just so you know, what happened immediately afterwards is the authorities were not allowed to even access the scene. The local city authorities that were trying to do what they should do in a scene like this, trying to secure the place, they weren't even allowed to enter because ICE agents kept them away for some time. They were, of course, let in later on. But that is what happened in Minneapolis today. There is no truth in what the Department of Homeland Security keeps telling us. There is absolutely no truth that this man was in any way trying to provoke violence or in any way harass the people of Minneapolis or the ICE agents that were in Minneapolis. He was merely there with his cell phone, as we saw out, documenting the events of the day, and then ultimately, being pulled to the ground by 6 agents, is according to Mayor Fry, and then disarmed, and then shot in cold blood. This is nothing more than an execution. That's what an execution looks like. An execution done by the state, by the federal government, under the guise of some sort of immigration policy. Instead, what we have here is a world where these ICE agents are killing ordinary citizens on the streets of America. It really is a tragedy beyond belief. And of course, we'll give you a little more information about him in just a second. But I just wanted to check some messages here. Our hopes and for everyone in America today that this remains a calm and sensible and sane event. But there's no doubt that the administration, the regime, are looking to invoke the Insurrection Act, and they will do everything they can to do that. And that is why the minute the the National Guard was called in by Waltz today, this is another reason why Trump might try to do the Insurrection Act, because then he can take over the National Guard that was sent in by Governor Waltz. And we'll leave it there for tonight. We'll leave it there for tonight in memory of Alex Pretti, who is now a hero in America. I mean, let me just try show you who he is. This man will be remembered for a long time in America, like Renee Good was remembered in America for a long time. This is a man whose sole intention was to document and to look out for his neighbors and to try and help a situation. 37 years old, he was a intensive care unit nurse at the Veterans Affairs healthcare system. So he was there looking after veterans. This is a U.S. citizen who was looking after the people who risked their lives for America. And today he lost his life. It's a real tragedy. We'll all remember him. Sorry about that. I guess that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for being here. We'll all remember Alex Pretti and Renee Good. Keep up the good fight, everybody, and be safe out there. Thank you very much for joining me on Narativ.